Morning, friends. How you doing today? It's a new day, same workload. The weather is moving in, although it should be dry today. So I'm at the farm and I'm going to get started by trying to get all this compost moved. It's not that much for today. Clearly there's a lot of compost to move, but for today, it's just 3 wheelbarrow fulls down to the 4x6 bed. Then we're going to direct sow, cover those beds, and then I am going to eliminate all the grass from the final ranunculus bed. And I'll give you a little update on how the current flowers are doing. It looks like everything's still in shape, but the temporary deer fence is starting to sag in places, and I do see deer footprints all around in the mud. So I'm feeling more urgency than ever to get this deer fence done. So if I'm still feeling up to it, I'm going to try to pound at least the final few fence sleeves in. And then hopefully next week, once the rain passes, I think it should be next Wednesday, I think is going to be our next dry day, that I can start getting the side braces done, the final 2 corner pieces, the concrete poured for those and them set, and then start getting the tensioning line strong, all the next steps. So Mike and Aiden are going out of town this weekend. It's President's Day weekend, so they're going snowboarding. And I was going to stay here and work, but it's going to be raining the entire time. So I'm still going to stay here, get some work done at the house. But if I get any little breaks in the rain, I'm coming out to try to pound in more sleeves or do whatever I can. Some of these next steps on this fence I can't do by myself because I need ladders and the ground is super uneven and I don't want to climb a ladder by myself trying to do some work at the top of a pole out here, where I could get injured. So I'd rather have 2 people, one of us up the ladder, one of us holding the ladder, that kind of thing. So, all right, I'm going to get started getting this compost going, and then we can direct sow. I love when I film an entire segment for you guys without sound. Good times. So, saying all that all over again, you can see that I filled the bed. It was 3 wheelbarrow loads full. And I still have 2 4x6 beds left to fill, but they're not happening today. The reason is I don't need to put anything in those beds for a while yet. And because this area isn't deer fenced, I don't want to lay a bunch of compost down that gets all trampled and everything. So I'm going to fill compost as I need, as we come to it, or once the fence gets done, then everything gets filled. Okay, so what am I putting in this bed? First of all, the back half of the bed, like closer to the top of the hill, I don't know if it's visible on camera, is less compost than at the bottom here, where it's a higher inches of compost. That's because I want to try to level the bed out a little bit. It'll be fine. It's not too steep of a slope. I work on a slope almost this steep at home. But I just wanted to give it a little bit more ability to hold water better. So I'm going to divide this bed into 3 segments. The front segment is going to be poppies. Now I have a whole variety of poppies here. I have had so luck with poppies. Sometimes they come up and they do well. Other times I get nothing. And so because I'm not growing these for wholesale, I don't need to know the varieties. Like I don't need to label them. And that's the same holds true for everything I'm putting in this bed. I'm going to, instead of making furrows and individual rows, I'm literally going to combine all these seeds and scatter them, broadcast them in their quadrant or third, because it's third. The bed will be divided into thirds. So that means I will have a higher chance of having the bed covered with some seeds don't germinate, others will, and there'll be enough distribution. I'm not worried about oversowing because, like I said, I usually don't have very good luck with these guys. So the first one I've chosen is American Legion. I also have some breadseed poppies. This is what they look like. This one's the Peony Double Blend. And then I have a bunch of breadseed poppies from Floret. I've got Amazing Gray, which you probably have seen. This is a single, so it's not super floofy like the double one I showed you. Amazing Gray, Mother of Pearl, Pink Peony. I have 2 of those. White Frills, Frosted Salmon, and Lilac Peony. So a whole variety of pinks with a little bit of gray and red in there. And then I also have giant poppy pod seeds from the Gardener's Workshop. Now, these are red, but you're not growing them for the flower because the flower itself only lasts for like 24 hours. And that's actually the case with a lot of poppies, is they're really short-lived flowers. But the poppy pod, in this giant poppy pods, it's huge. It's like golf ball size. And it's really cool architecturally. It's great for bouquets and arrangements. And each one has thousands of seeds in it. So if you buy this packet once and you successfully grow it out, you will have seeds forever. Plus they self-sow. So if you put them in a section in your garden that you want poppies all the time, once they take hold, you're good to go. All right, so after the poppies, we're moving into Nigella. Nigella, also known as Love in a Mist. This is what it looks like. This is the Miss Jekyll blend, which is like blue, dark and light blue. Nigella, I usually do pretty well with, but it's very lacy, very frilly, and so I don't, and it doesn't hold up very well, so I don't do it wholesale. This is for fresh cut customers like my CSA and stuff. So I have Delft Blue. I'm going to try to put photos on the screen for you. African Bride, Albion Black Pod, Albion Green Pod, and Albion Black Marbles. And so the cool thing about Nigella is you can harvest it before the flower opens, when the flowers open, and after the flower has faded and you just have that pod. And they dry as a pod really cool too. So they have lots of stages of harvest. All right, then the final section of this bed is Bachelor Buttons. And again, it's going to be, all of these are going to be combined and just kind of broadcasted in their area. This one's Classic Magic, and oh, I'm sorry, this is Classic Romantic, and I also have Classic Magic. Now, Most of these seeds don't really, so the poppies need light to germinate. They're just going to be surface sown. I'm just going to pat down lightly on top of the area. With the Nigella and the bachelor's buttons, I'll get a little tiny light coating of soil on the top, but not much at all. They still need a little bit of light. And then the whole bed's going to get covered with row cover, just like this one over here. And tomorrow it's going to rain. And so that will set them up. I'm hoping by the end of February, early March, they actually start to germinate and grow for me. The bells of Ireland haven't germinated yet. The other thing I'm going to do after I do these is open up the back bed, and on the back half, because the front is bells of Ireland and the back is going to be Bupleurum, so that's going in. I have noticed that these direct sown seeds germinate when the soil temperature reaches a certain temperature, and the ambient temperature is a certain temperature too. So I stopped sowing them in the fall because they would just sit there all winter. So now I just sow them in the spring. All right, I'm gonna get started. Well, I've discovered something very unsettling. The deer have clearly been inside the enclosure. I can see their footprints, and I do see evidence of them eating. Not a lot of destruction done yet, but that's just a matter of time. So instead of weeding the ranunculus, what I did instead was put the flower support netting over all of the rows. Now, this will not prevent the deer from eating them. I mean, they can make their way around this, but it makes it a little bit more challenging. And it potentially, the problem is when it's dark, they're not going to see it. I don't want them to get hurt if they jump in here, but potentially it will keep them from jumping over because it'll be an obstacle in their way on the landing path. So I think they're coming in here because this has dropped significantly since the ground got softer. So I'm going to try to rig this up high with a string, extend this, just tie it to that pole for now, although I don't have a ladder, because I can see these big gouges here where they probably jumped in. Like I said, there hasn't been a huge amount of destruction yet, but you can see right here, that's clearly been nibbled on. And I don't want to lose my entire crop. That happened to me already a couple of years ago. In the summer, we all got COVID, and I came back a week later and the entire farm was gone. That was the end of summer. I had to cancel my whole CSA and reimburse everyone. I can't do that again. I can't. So I'm anxious. I'm super anxious. Now I'm thinking I'm just going to come out here, unless it's like literal driving rain, I'm going to keep coming out here in the rain and working. I've got to get this fence up. There's just no options at this point. So I'm going to see what I can rig in the intermediate time. Like I said, you can see where it's really sloped here. And this could be leaning this way because they've jumped over and their weight has hit it. So I want to put some obstacles on the other side as well so that they have less space to take off on, and lift up the fence here and with a string tie it to that post if I can up high, just so that I can, you know, have the vertical add to this, and then I'll see what I can do about placing some obstacles here. You know, they can get in anywhere else, but I haven't seen evidence of that yet. However, it's drooping over here too. So I'm already stressed. You really don't need this right now, especially with a week of rain coming up. Okay, so I'm going to see what I can do to fix this problem and literally pray that my crops are still here. I'll come back tomorrow even when it's raining and continue to work, get some more sleeves drilled and stuff like that. And I mean, I won't be able to get the fence up in the next couple days. I don't know. I could lose everything. I could lose everything in the next couple days. So yeah, all I can do is what I can do. But I got to tell you, I'm excessively stressed out. That headache from yesterday is coming back full force. All right, I'm going to put the camera down so that I can focus and try to rig something up to potentially save my crops. So I went home and had some lunch and made a plan. I did rig up higher T-posts, and where the current temporary fence was drooping, I've lifted that up. But I brought out all my tools and the step ladder. I'm going to start working on the fence because it's not just the sleeves. I need to get the corners. They have bracing and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to try to do that today. I just have to make progress, which means if I have to come out in the rain, I'm coming out in the rain. As long as it's not torrential rain, I can handle it. So I'm going to get started on that. I hope that raising the fence a bit here will keep the deer out, at least temporarily, until I can get the main fence up. In the meantime, I'm also going to be looking for to see if I can find somebody local who would come out and do this for me. But with all the rain coming up, I'm sure they're going to give me, you know, necessary delays, because if I were them, I wouldn't want to work in the rain. But I'm feeling massive stress and time pressure about this. So I'm just going to start working and see what I can get done. I have to go get Aiden in less than an hour. So I'll get a little bit of work done, go get him, drop him off at home, and come back out. And I'm just going to work until the sun sets. I've got to make as much progress as possible. It's going to be raining tomorrow, and I do have a meeting in town. But I'm hoping that I can still come out here if it's just light rain, which is supposed to be, and continue to work. So it's going to be an interesting week, but I need to get this up. So it turns out fear is a really good motivator. I got the rest of the sleeves done. So you can see the only one that isn't in yet completely is this one. We're right near a whole bunch of tree roots, and I'm struggling with this one, and the top is starting to mushroom. So I'm just exhausted. That was a lot of work. So I'm halting on this one for now. That's fine. The next two priorities are digging the holes at the very end for the corner posts, sinking them in cement. Got to do that. And today I also tried to use my step stool to get up way up there. I've got to put 90-degree brackets up there with cups to run the dead man system off of these corner posts. This is not tall enough. And the other ladder we have at home is super heavy and huge. So I'm going to go to the hardware store and just find a smaller one that I could just leave out here. Something that's bigger than this, but not a huge, enormous ladder. Okay, well, my time's up. I need to go pick up Aiden. I don't think I'm going to have the energy to come back out today. All the sleeves are in. All the fence line posts are up. So once I sink those two corner posts, and they're going to need like a day or more to cure, and since we've got rain coming, that's going to be crazy. But I can put the dead man bracing posts on these two front corners. I could totally do that. And if I get a ladder that works, I could start stringing up the tensioning system on the laterals on the two long sides. And once that's up, then all I have to do is roll out the fencing and hog tie it all together. I mean, this is not a fast job, but I think I can if I get blessed with a couple of windows of drier weather, I think I can get a lot of this done. I'll still be doing it by myself, and I'll probably make some mistakes, but we do what we can, right? All right. That's it for me today, guys. I am exhausted. I got a lot done today. Feels really good. Those poor ranunculus still aren't weeded. I really, really hope making the fence taller where it was drooping and putting all the netting up keeps the deer out. I'm so anxious about that. I'm afraid I'm going to come back tomorrow in the middle of a rainstorm and find most of my food gone, most of my flowers gone. At this point, all I can do is hope. So, all right, thanks for hanging out with me today, you guys. Hope you have a great time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.